Happy Monday to you, wherever you're watching us from. The show is Your World. And as you can tell, we are outside and the sun is sunning, but the show must go on. And I hope that you're having yourselves an amazing day. Welcome. The show is Your World. And today we'll be talking about a conversation that really we need to do a lot of introspection, okay? And it's all about fatherhood. And we'll be looking at the modern expectations versus traditional roles, all right? Because we all understand how important fathers are in our lives and in our relationships. But then again, there are some people who, when you talk about fathers, well, they say, I wish I had a better relationship with my dad. So really, what is the role of a dad in a family? And when we look at the traditional expectations versus what is happening now, and that is fatherhood now, there has been a lot of changes, okay? So we'll be also talking about all those changes. So you want to stick around until the end of the show and just get to see, has fatherhood changed over time? Have the roles changed over time? Because now we're also seeing other dads who are opting to be stay-home dads, unlike a few years ago where that was not even a thing, okay? So how has this morphed over time? You do not want to miss any part of the conversation. But even at that, we have a very simple question for you, okay? And it is, if you were a parent to your dad, how different would you raise them, okay? If you were a parent to your dad, how different would you raise them? Engage with us on our socials, and that is at NTV Kenya, both on Facebook and on X, and tag me as well at Lubembe_Winnie. We'll be going through your feedback as we continue with the show. And I know that's a very, very deep question, a lot of introspection and reflection. So think about it, okay? If you were a parent to your dad, if you would go back and be a parent to your dad, how would you raise them, all right? Or how different would you raise them? And even as you think about it, my guests for the day, we have Pastor Frank Kitonga, who's a life coach and pastor in Keepers Ministry. Good to see you, Pastor. How are you?
Fantastic.
Resting
Good to be
this
here.
Monday. I know you're here, but I think you're resting. But it's so good to see you again.
Good to see
Karibu
you.
on the show.
Thank you for having me.
I see you're maintaining the blue theme. Yeah, because last time you had blue on, and we all had blue.
If I had the memo, I would have looked like you. But
it's okay. It is well. You're here. And we also have Nick Mwangi, who's a founder, Jasiri Dad. It's so good to have you, Nick. How are you doing?
Thank you for having me on set today.
Karibu sana. How are you feeling on this Monday morning?
Warm.
It's hot.
Yes, it's hot.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Absolutely. I mean, I know this is, both of you are dads. I want to believe. Percy, I know you're a dad. You said it last time. Nick, I want to believe you're a dad.
Yes.
Now, and see the question that we're asking the people, that if you were a parent to your dad, how different would you raise him? I know it's a very deep question, but you interact with dads a lot, right? So can we just start from there? Dads, fathers, fatherhood. When we mention that word, what is the first thing that comes to your mind when we say fatherhood or dad or father?
I think it's a very significant office or a hat to wear as a man, where you have the opportunity to impact lives and maybe generations, because I think sometimes we fall into this trap of thinking of others as patriarchs, but sometimes as men, we also, especially when you become a dad, you start to think of yourself as a patriarch. How are the generations after me going to be influenced by who I am and the kind of life that I live and the impact I have on them? Yeah.
Okay. Pasi, what is the first thing that comes to mind when you hear that? It's true. Most of us were chapwad, you know?
Like, I remember there's a day I was chapwad.
Yeah. A good one.
Siku ya sabasaba. When I went to school, there was no difference between me na wale watu walikutana na karao. You know.
So
mimi nilichapwa.
Yeah.
But I thank Jesus. Because sasa ndio niko hapa.
Right? Ulipelekwa laini. And a good father. Yeah. I'm sure if we ask your children now, what is the first thing that comes to mind when they think about dad? What would you say? What do you think they'll say? Would they say kiboko?
Maybe they'll say so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I think they'll say fun.
Okay.
Like somebody
okay.
was fun with
Okay.
them.
Okay.
But that's what I think.
That's what
I
you
don't know what they think.
If they're watching and maybe they have access to know, but I think they're in
Wako
school
shule,
now.
so-
Wako shule. It's okay. Yeah, but
Yes.
later on, if they find this episode on YouTube, please, comment section, tell us what you think about your dad. And even
Yes.
for you, Nick, what is the first thing that they would say? But really, when you think about it deeply, most people have that respect. And it's right, when you're saying, when you think about dad, the first thing that comes to mind is kiboko. It's because there was that respect, borderline fear when it comes to our fathers and how we were raised, because tulikuwa tunajua kuna kiti ya baba, kuna sahani ya baba, remote ni ya baba, there's that symbol of authority and respect that was,
And honor.
I want to believe, earned.
And honor, yeah.
And honor, And I'm curious to understand now, in this day and age, has that changed over time, But I want to hear from you, like, about Jasiri dads. And I'm sure you have moments where you speak to dads. What is it that they are saying as far as fatherhood, and how they were raised sort of like influenced how they're raising their children? I know it's a very loaded question and like 5 questions in one, but
Yeah,
please
true,
try.
yeah. I think what is coming across is the fact that things are different.
Okay.
What worked for our parents is not working for us.
Okay.
Our children are not what we were. And so they are more exposed. They have higher expectations. They are more vocal. And so how do you deal with that? Whereas the way you are brought up to be seen and not to be heard. So that it's a challenge. So men or fathers or dads are finding themselves in a situation where they're having to come up higher.
All right.
And that there's a demand, there's a pull to come up higher and address the challenge of the times that we are in. Yeah.
Do they find themselves sort of like having to deal with the challenge of the then and now? Because you see, back then, like you're saying, how most of us were raised is you were there to be seen and not heard. And now we have kids who are very vocal, right about now, and you can't just tell them no. They will ask you questions like, why are you telling me no? So having to balance both, is it like more challenging now as compared to then?
Yeah, I think it's getting more and more challenging. I'm thinking I'm already ahead maybe of myself, and I'm thinking, how is it going to be for my children to parent their children?
Yes.
Yeah. And so I have to think, how am I preparing them now to also not just be responsible citizens, but also to be fathers and mothers of the next generation.
Absolutely.
So it's really getting tougher, but I think with some of the things that we are going to discuss, I think it's still possible to be an effective father.
Yeah.
And more so, it's about capturing the heart of your child.
Of the child.
Yes.
I like that, capturing just the heart of the child. Pasi, I want to be nosy a little bit here, and just understand you as a father, okay? And maybe go back to, back when you were a child. And you're still a child to your father, right? But back then, so understanding how you were raised, and Nick, I'll also ask you the same question. And now that you are a dad, do you find yourself maybe employing some of the tactics that your dad used to raise you now to your kids? Or, but let's just understand, your relationship with your dad when you were a child.
So there's a difference between the principle of what somebody is doing and the activity that changes.
Okay. All right.
To do the same. If the principle is same and if what you do is different. So, for example, like I said, my dad disciplined me. Do I discipline my children? Yes. So the principle of discipline doesn't change.
Remains.
The how is different. I would like to spare the rod and spoil the child. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But I can withdraw, let's say, TV.
Okay.
But he used to use maybe a cane. Right now, no announcer can, but TV withdrawal is as painful. So, and
or
if
sit in the corner and think about what you have done.
yeah, and so, or withdrawing your friendships. Those teenagers, social media, whatever, is such a big thing for them to connect and be seen.
Yeah.
What happens when you withdraw? So, but the principle of discipline is the same.
Still remains.
But the way you're acting, or the way we'll talk about it. Obviously, like you said, our kids are more...
Yes, more
and I
vocal,
don't want somebody who is told what to do every time. I want somebody who engages. So there's pain to it, where you have to measure your pride a little bit.
Yeah.
My father maybe didn't have that time.
Yeah.
Ati, what did you say? I was not even asked. What
You
did
wouldn't
you say?
even think.
Unakutana na coffee. But the principle I have to accept is that they did the best that they knew how to do it.
Yes.
And they were parented also.
Yes.
And those who are also parented. And so you see, there are several stages of things that are changing. Pre-colonial, our parents came up around when the colonial rule was still there, and then they got the independence, and then they had a new Kenya to deal with. Muzungu is gone, and now hustle. So it's very different what your parents went through. As you judge them, be gracious that they were not dealt an easier hand.
True. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, they were dealt some tough hands themselves. They were just learning what it is to come to work in Nairobi, if those who came to Nairobi, and all that, and learning what a success looked like in Nairobi versus how you grew up. And all that. So my kids are also doing the same. I had a Gen Z say on the thing saying, ati unajua kule tulitoka? I said, that is where pali nyinyi mulitoka. Me, I come from Lavington. You know? I was like, Ara, is that what my teenager is saying? I come from Lavington.
I come from Lavington. I can relate.
So you know, us, we used to walk barefoot to school. Say, that was you guys.
I'm sorry.
I never, the kind of shit I wear, Timberlake, I don't know what people are saying these days. But so the context is completely different.
Yes.
It is, but there are fundamentals about fatherhood that don't
still
change.
Remains. Yeah. And I'm happy that you mentioned that, because listen, now we have a lot of parents who are like, since we went through suffering, hata wewe, as in test kidogo tu, suffering kidogo tu, so that you appreciate what you have. So we also see some parents who they would deny outrightly their kids some quote unquote luxuries kidogo, so that at least they taste suffering, so that they really understand the importance of appreciating what they have. So my question is, should that be the case? Like, should we all suffer just because our great-grandfathers suffered, then our grandfathers suffered? This is a person to suffer anyway, as you think about it.
No, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Life is such that everyone will suffer.
Yeah.
You don't even have to create it.
Yes.
A suffering will come. The issue is, I parent with a few friends. And so we're called nuts and bolts, where we get into the nuts and the bolts of raising our boys. This one is just for boys.
Oh, that's interesting, yeah.
And we do something else called dad camp, where we meet both our boys and girls, but as dads. Anyway, the way this thing called parenting is done, what we're doing is we create activities for our kids to learn. For example, kuzima moto. Some of them, so nakamoto hapo, and then you tell, okay, tuzime.
How would
so we try to create those learning sessions. So it's not really suffering. Since that suffering tends to come with learning, because you are unlearning something to learn something. But you can actually create scenarios, especially together with other men who also are figuring out this father thing. So we've done that. We've created what is sexuality. Now, that is not a discussion I had with my dad.
No.
My dad had one thing. Nikuone.
Or sometimes they wouldn't even have to say anything.
I remember a guy who went to see a chick. Akakutana na baba yake. alilimwa hii moja. Not the guy was just unajua ni kujitetea katika ile maisha. You know, bwana swear. I'm sorry if I use that too much today, but understand me. But the point I'm making is we don't have to create suffering.
Yeah.
But suffering will come.
Yeah.
But we can create scenarios intentionally to create the kind of children we want.
That we want. I see that. Interesting. Nick, I mean, we have like 3 minutes to go on a break, yeah? But I'm also curious to understand, because again, Jasiri dad, so I'm sure there's that forum where you have conversations around parenting and parenthood and fatherhood, and especially to boys, which is interesting because they'll be fathers one day.
Yes.
But so you as Nick, how you are raised versus how you're raising your children now, is there like a similarity? Is there a difference? Could you take us through maybe how
I agree with I agree with Frank about the fact that the principle doesn't change, but the how or the activity
changes
can change.
Okay.
And maybe even the philosophy behind doing what you're doing.
All right.
What tends to happen is because we were parented a certain way and maybe we didn't like it. So the challenge is we swing now to the other extreme.
All right.
And then forget that the principle still holds. And so I remember once when one of my younger sons talked to me and thanked me for disciplining him.
Really?
Wow. Yes, because he understood, I guess from what he was reading in the Bible, that a father who loves his child disciplines them. Okay. And then we've also learned that it's also important that even after the discipline action or the activity, that you also embrace them and tell them that you love them.
Yes.
And that the reason why I'm disciplining you is because there's this and this that I don't want to continue in your life. Yeah. So I think what's changing is that the methodologies are changing, but the principle remains the same.
Okay.
And let me just emphatically say that fathers need to discipline their children, because even the children have an expectation that they will be disciplined. When discipline doesn't come, it causes like a gridlock in the system, and the child gets confused. So why am I getting away? I know I've done something wrong and I'm getting away with it.
I see that.
Yeah.
That fathers have to discipline their children. The question is how.
Yes.
Because remember a few or somewhat many years ago, there was a whole debate around discipline and what discipline looks like. For some people who would say, I'd rather not beat my child, but sit down and talk to them about what they've done and help them understand that is wrong, versus another person who would be like, kiboko. So this one wa kiboko would be condemned, be like, unaumiza mtoto, unafanya nini mtoto, and this other one would be praised. But at the same time, now we hear a lot of kababa generation. Uyu hakupigwa uyu. No wonder ana behave hivi na hivi, you know. So we'll address more on the how after the break, but also touch on something I feel very important, and that is on traumas and how trauma can also influence how parents parent their children. But since we're focusing on fathers today, on how fathers can, father their children. But remember, the question that we're asking you today is very simple. If you were a parent to your dad, how different would you raise them, okay? And like I said, this is a very deep question. It needs a lot of introspection, because most of the time we tend to blame our parents for how our lives turned out. Yeah, you know me, I was like this because my parent did not give me, did not. Amma was never there, or, all those things. So really, if the roles were reversed and you were a parent to your dad, how different would you raise them? I'm really, really curious to see what you have to say. So engage with us on our socials, and that is at NTV Kenya, both on Facebook and on X, and tag me as well at Lubembe_Winnie. So there's so much to come on the other side of the break. Do stay with us. The show is Your World. All right, welcome back to the show. The show is Your World on this Monday morning. It's pretty hot, I must say, but here we are, and talking about a conversation that we must talk about. And this is as far as fatherhood is concerned. And we're looking at the traditional expectations versus modern fatherhood. And has that changed over time? Have see roles change in terms of now fathers now are trying to do different and do better in terms of raising their children as compared to how they were raised. Are there lessons that they have learned how they were raised, and are they using it now to parent their children? It's a whole lot of conversation, and also something that we will touch on as we continue with the show, and that is on traumas and how traumas can influence who we are and the kind of parents that we become, and in this case fathers, because we're talking about fathers today. So the question that we're asking you today is very simple, and that is, if you were a dad if you are a parent to your dad, how would you raise them? All right, would you raise them differently or the same? If the roles were reversed, engage with us on our socials, and that is at NTV Kenya, both on Facebook and on X. And I can see someone here on Facebook says, this is KBZ, who says, do you know some dads are so absent to their sons that their sons are finding ways of life from their older friends? I've even met two 24-year-olds, says at that time, that didn't know how to even change a car tire despite having a car in their homes. Who is to blame? And then says, P.S. these dads, see it, they aren't alive. They just think that providing finances here and there is everything. Na kijana yake, anamea tu bila guidance, even basics hajui. And then someone actually says, this is... Wait. Okay, no, there are two people here that I'm confusing their names. So there's Anthony Njeru who says, if I was a parent to my dad, angeona, amesumbua sana. So the dad angeona, amesumbua sana. And then continues to say, fatherhood is something that is not rewarded. It is expected, but women are celebrated and rewarded more. We don't reward our fathers more. Interesting.
Yeah, Father's Day is less,
right?
Is less a commercial activity than Mother's Day. Yeah.
Right? Oh, my days. Yeah, we need to change something about it. And then there's someone actually here who says... there's a comment that I'm really, really looking for, but even as I find it, right? Oh, no, Lisa, why are you making videos in this direct sunlight? We're working on it, okay? But really, the whole question about traumas, but even before we talk about traumas, you know how they say there's no manual to be a parent, right? Hakuna mtu anakufunza to be a parent. You find yourself there and you have to figure it out as you move on. Now, there's a lot of grace extended to moms as compared to dads. Why is that the case? Percy, why do we, mama yangu,
Amutupendi tu, hata sijui. Ni mmekuwa tu haters. And there's no child who can come without a father.
Without a father,
I was scared.
Yeah.
But I think it's the way we're just socialized. To be honest, that the role of a father is diminished.
All right.
But, it doesn't matter what you do. You cannot ignore a father. You can have absentee father, uninvolved, ones who are not engaged or whatever.
Yeah.
But a father is a father.
Yeah.
Hata father yako kae nini, hata kama ni mse wakute. Hata kama ni yeye buda yako.
Yeah.
And it's okay. Just like you will receive your mom. But I think, especially when men are hit by something, women have shown more resilience than men. And because a man collapses, it's in society generally, men who have collapsed, then they are judged very harshly by society.
Yeah.
And I don't think moms get away with it, but dads are beaten by society much more.
Yeah.
I think it's just the way we are socialized. We expect so much. To whom much is given, much is expected.
Much is expected,
We have been given such a huge responsibility. Did you know there is no greater privilege a man can be given than being a father?
Yeah.
That's
He shares the same name as God the Father.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the highest privilege
Calling,
you can have.
You can ever
the
have, yeah.
best partnership you can have is your wife. But the privilege of fatherhood is out of this world. I couldn't have kids.
Yeah.
For a long time.
Yeah.
A high five. I can't tell you how that feels.
Yeah.
Me, I'm not told that you wake up at 5. 5 o'clock finds me awake.
Awake.
Yes, because I have 5 children. It's
Yeah.
a privilege. It's an honor.
Yeah.
But it's easy because we go out of the home to do our best.
How many dads see it that way?
That
It's
is
a privilege,
I don't
yes.
know a dad who doesn't.
Because remember, like this comment who says there are fathers out there who say they're alive, but they don't have time. They aren't there.
But
Okay,
that's
let me just
according
chip
to
in.
them.
Uh-huh.
And Nick, go ahead. Just
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
No.
Yeah.
I was just burning to say this. I think it all boils down to relationship. Mothers have a 9-month head start,
Okay.
bonding with the child. Yeah, and then when the child comes into the world,
Yeah.
fathers are playing catch up.
Yes. Uh-huh.
And then what more often than not you find is that the mother has a bigger space
All right.
in the child's heart than maybe the dad.
The dad, yeah.
And some of it is because growing up as a child, maybe I wouldn't understand. But now that I'm a father, I understand the pressures of being a father.
All right.
And why is it that maybe a dad would, not be adequately present for me? Because society has told him that the only thing, actually sometimes we have almost reduced it to one thing, that a father is a provider.
Yes.
So
And we hear that a lot. Yes, the dad should provide.
Yes, so he goes out, he goes all out to provide. But what that robs him is time and presence.
Okay.
Yeah. And then sometimes we always feel like, I don't know about your household, but sometimes I feel like conversations have gone on in my absence.
Yeah.
And then I'm just being pulled into the
Yeah,
story and then rubber stamp my approval.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's because I wasn't there when the conversation was taking place. Then number two, even when I am there physically, I am not emotionally and engaged, in finding out, how was your day? What was the highlight of your day? What stressed you today? Who do you have a crush on in school? Those
conversations
that make a child think that this guy is interested in my life at my level. They are interested in my life. So there are conversations sometimes that are going on in the house when I'm there.
Yeah.
But I'm either on my phone or I'm reading a newspaper, I'm watching the TV. And because us guys don't have the benefit of multitasking, I'm so engrossed in what I'm doing. I'm not hearing the conversations that are going on. So then you also miss out on capturing the child's heart because there are other things that are distracting you. Yes, you've had a tiring day. When you come home, home should be a haven that you come into. It's a peaceful environment that you settle in and relax.
Yeah.
But not relaxing at the expense of relating with those people that are called by your name.
I see that. You were saying, Persis, still on the same, something about appreciating that role as a dad, and others, quote unquote, taking advantage of the fact that a dad should be a provider.
Yes.
So most would spend some time, a lot of the time outside, trying to, find ways and means to raise their family. That's, like Nick said, they end up missing a whole lot of their children's lives that now there's no bond,
My friend Simon Bevy has said that there are 5 things a father must do.
Okay.
Number 1 is provision. What's interesting is presence is another role of a father. So yes, we have to provide.
That often takes a backbench.
Yes, but because the other problem, the antonym for it is dads who are not present. They love you, they care for you, but they are not present.
Yeah.
The role of a father is also to be a prophet. What that means is to call out the greatness of a child. Say, what I see in you, what the gifts I see, this is how you can translate them in life. Another one is priesthood, to pray for your children.
For your children,
Now, nobody can pray for your children better than you. I promise you, even your pastor. Your pastor will do some work there, but you love, it's you.
And you live with them day to day, so you know.
live with them, you know exactly how to pray for it. And then you should be the one receiving on what you can give.
Okay.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
So all these roles of a father can only be done intentionally.
Okay. Intentionality.
And therefore there's that core word there about intentionality in the space of fatherhood.
Yeah.
meaning you have to make time. Do you have to provide? Yes.
Yes.
Do you have to be present? Yes. Do you have to be the prophet? Yes.
Absolutely.
Do you have to be the priest? Yes. All these things, we have to do them. So what do? We create the time.
And one doesn't have to take priority versus the other.
Yes.
Yeah,
and,
at the same concurrently.
Yeah.
and they're ongoing.
Yeah.
They're ongoing. And they're happening. Because I can't say I'll be present and I'm not providing. You're new fala.
Okay.
Bottom line, and then who is providing for your children? As in, we've got to do our best to provide.
Yeah.
Sometimes the wife can provide better. Fine.
Yes.
Enda job basi mimi niko present. Mimi ndio naenda shule kukutana na walimu. I come from a homeschooling community.
Okay. All right.
What does that mean? It means sometimes a mom is staying home training or a dad is staying home. Training.
Yeah.
So he's fulfilling all the other functions except providing, which is okay.
Yeah.
I
Because
found
these
men
are
who
the four that
absolutely
they are.
good. You know, it's not all women who are lovey-dovey with children.
Yeah.
Some women do not want to be around a child. Hata your patience yao, ninakufundisha hata kupika coffee, kushinda, because women also have different personalities. You can find a more caring, let's call it lovey-dovey for today, daddy than a mom. And that's fine. If in that space it works.
Yeah.
A dad, I don't have a problem
And sometimes
with
actually
that.
there's couples who actually say, you take the good cop, I'll be the bad cop.
Yeah.
You know, and so that we balance each other out.
And you always
right?
have to work it out.
You
like
have
that.
to.
It's team
you
effort.
Really have to. Yes, you wanted to say something, Nick.
I wanted to say, just to re-emphasize, I'm of the same. We when I saw that he was on set, I was like, I'm glad to have this guy on set because we have interacted in various other men forums.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to add to what he said about the 5 things that a father should be. And I think for me it's well captured in the hand. It's illustrated best. And presence is the first one.
Okay.
Because presence, the thumb can touch all the other 4. It's the only finger that can touch all the other 4.
Yes.
Yeah. Then there's the protector, there's the provider, there is the priest, and then there's the prophet.
Okay.
To do all these 4, you have to be present.
You have to be present.
Yeah, you have to be present.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I wanted to say is that sometimes with the pressures of life, you know, like in the society that we're living in today, it looks like it's maybe it's hard to live on one salary as a family. But then parenting is teamwork. And there are seasons. You know, you change. This season it's me working, the other season it's you working. The other season it's both of us working. Maybe we are empty nesters, you know. So I think it's that aspect of prioritizing our children, because realizing that these children, these are the only true parents they will have. And you have a certain window, and it's closing faster than you think. Before long, they'll be out of the house and they'll be independent. And therefore, working on your relationship so that when they go out, they have a reason to come back. One of the things that, let me talk about my experience with my dad.
All right.
My dad was an excellent provider. But because maybe of the pressures that he was going through and, you know, just also personal, maybe from where you're coming from and the expectations that you have and whatever, he wasn't emotionally involved. He became emotionally connected with us, I think, when we were adults, even for my sisters. I was the only son, and I have 3 sisters. So I started to emotionally connect with my dad when I was already an adult, a husband and a father. I was looking forward to my old age, when I can sit down with my dad and we just chapa stories. And, you know, but death has this thing of just robbing us. So, but the thing is, at the end of the day, what you realize is that all of us at the end of the day, yes, we appreciate your discipline. We appreciate your provision.
Yeah.
We appreciate the little wisdom that maybe you have imparted to us. But at the end of the day, guess what? I was hungering for the most when I was putting my dad in his grave, was relationship.
Yeah.
Relationship carries across.
It does. Yeah.
And so I think that's one of the things. As we do all these things, we need to realize that, yes, we may get a kick out of being out with the boys on a weekday night, but really, I should be home connecting with my children.
Yes.
When do my children see me? When do my children see me when I'm happy? When do they see me when... do they only see me when I'm stressed? Yeah? When I come home, staki kelele.
Stress na utaki kelele.
Yeah. Dad, what are your hobbies? What do you enjoy doing?
Yeah.
You know, when they are thinking of getting me a gift, do they have to consult the mother?
Yeah.
Because they don't know nothing
What to
about
get
me.
you.
They don't know what I enjoy, what I like.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I see that. And that relationship, I think we sometimes tend to overlook it until it's not, like, the person is not there. So in this case, the dad is not there. They really understand how important a relationship is. And I think that's why I asked earlier on, how many fathers, how many dads know how important they are, and how, like you said, what's the term that you used? Precious. That title is, that is a dad. Because a lot of people say, yes, my dad would provide, my dad made sure that we lived comfortably, we were comfortable, but he was never there. And the fact that he wasn't there physically, he was there physically, but he was never there, like you're saying, to connect, right? So we'll emphasize more on that relationship. But do you wanted to add something onto that before?
Yeah, as in, we said actually, and I'm forgetting them, Nick, maybe you remember them, that there are 5 types of fathers.
Okay.
And one of them is absentee father. You find a job kwa track. Ama yeye ni mse wa kwenda other countries. So the daddy, they call you, hey, what do you want? Okay, I'm sending you a bicycle.
Yes.
Absentee.
And when you show up, your father Christmas,
Yeah. So there's also a father who is just not involved or emotionally disconnected, like he's saying.
Yeah.
That he's there present, but you're not connecting.
Yeah.
As in, you only see a newspaper. As in, that's the most the children know about their father is a headline.
Gazeti kwanza imefunika hadi uso.
Wakiambiwa wachore dad, they draw him with a newspaper.
Yeah, they show legs down and a newspaper on top. They don't see his face.
Yeah.
They don't see themselves rolling down on the floor together and playing or, catching up and whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah? And so there are these types. I'm forgetting the others about types of fathers. But also they are involved fathers. There are fathers who are involved, who are present, who are trying to do the best that they can.
Yeah.
And to me, your kids will understand when you need to say, and it's up to me to teach them.
Yeah.
This is my time to go to work. What is work? I do this at work.
Yeah.
I go at this time, and I'll come back at this time. And I try to keep my promises, because that's a big area. Big area when we don't keep our promises.
Yeah.
And what we are teaching them is you actually can't trust God or you can't trust society. Because the person who should have shown you
is not there.
Yuko inje.
Yeah.
Yeah, integrity.
Yeah. Integrity. These are things that you actually teach. Once I was disciplining my child, and I had caught them stealing. Alikuwa ameimba homework.
Okay.
Akakopia sistake. Nimefanya. Nikamjua, okay, umefanya. Haya, sawa. Na najua ameepa. Okay. So I told him, now let's agree. So you can be a thief, sawa. But let's agree, even me. Imagine police have come to our house and I've been taken in, and you've been told my daddy stole at work, and I'm in chains, and I'm put in a police car. He said, no, that cannot happen. I said, no, it cannot happen. No, it cannot happen. I said, oh, so it cannot happen to me, but it can happen to you. And then he went,
Imeingia.
Yeah.
As a coach, the biggest gift I got from learning how to be a coach was to parent.
Yeah.
I coach my children.
Your children.
Yeah, a father is a coach and a mentor.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're ready to go off this segment because I wanted to come and share at what stage should what dad do.
And we'll actually come to that stage because again, a lot of people say, the whole aspect of, well, there's no manual. I am just figuring it out. I don't know. I am trying my best to either parent the way I was parented or I am trying not to parent the way I was parented. So there's that.
Kwani unaendanga church gani? Kuna manual. Kuna manual.
But a lot of people say they don't. There's no manual to be
There's
parents.
a manual.
Yeah.
There's a manual, and it's God's blueprint for life, which is the Bible.
The Bible. Yes. Yeah.
There are principles, but it won't get down to the nitty-gritties of
do these at this point.
But the principles are there.
Okay.
And the wisdom is there.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm losing what I wanted to say, but I think also there's this aspect of that when you're parenting, as a father, you need to understand that, like he was mentioning, that there are different seasons, and at different points of your child's growth and development, they need different things from you.
Okay.
And the problem is sometimes we mix them up. You're trying to be a friend when the child is 0 to 5.
Yes.
No, you need to be a friend when they are a teenager.
Okay.
You get?
Yeah.
So I think understanding, there's some knowledge and wisdom and understanding that you need to have, especially about growth and development and what a boy needs at what point, what a girl needs at what point.
Yes.
And those are some of the things we talk about in Just
And we will
Dad.
absolutely talk about it, on the second hour. Now that both of you are dads, and of course you were raised by a dad, what are the challenges now that are sort of like unique in this modern day and age versus then? Are there like some challenges that are just unique to this day and age, Percy, versus there that a lot of fathers are going through?
I think the demand of life is the same. They had a lot of demand on them
Back then,
but I feel the pressure we are on.
Yeah.
Especially urban living.
The
4-hour commutes.
I know, going to work and coming back, and then the economy is it's doing its thing.
And also I see my kids saying, "Oh, Daddy, these guys have this car. When are we buying this car? Oh, Daddy, our friends go to this school."
Yeah.
The kids are also, in a sense, wamechanuka kutushinda.
Yeah.
Me, I was just happy to go to school. It didn't matter at what school.
Polling station, private.
Unaishia, squeezy, Daddy now. Yeah. My friend has this game.
Yeah.
Kama sijui ingine imetokea PS5. PS6 sijatokea. PS5, that's what I need.
Yeah.
Alafu nasema, okay, I get it. Or wacha nikatafute. Unaenda unakutana na bei. Unasema nitalipa school fees ama nitalipa PS5. Tutanunua nini kwa hii maisha? Unamwambia hiyo sina do. Dad, has God blessed you? but you say in church we are blessed. So
wow, okay, how do you respond?
The same things that you say are used against you.
Oh, absolutely. What's now when you're a person? You are una place ya kuepa. And you've got to deal with it.
Yes.
So I think there's certain pressures on us. We also have a very independent woman in our lives in comparison to our dads. It's not that they are not independent, but our wives, my friends. So babe, are you cooking today? Not that hakupika, but now it is a requirement. Boss, si ati hapa nini, shika hiyo dust hapo.
Tukutanie katikati. To the table.
Nakwambia, hata ukitoa macho naambua, my friend. We are doing this.
We're doing this together.
Wacha hizo. So I think that there's demands now.
Yeah.
The pressure keeps getting, but to be honest, there are also fathers who went through tougher times than we did because they probably sometimes went through war. Some of us are not going through war. As in my travels to places like Mozambique, Angola, you'll find a father who grew up in the years of war. So that's not easy. Some of our fathers went to fight the Mau Mau War and what. They've had it harder. I don't think anyone gets it easier, to be honest. I think you just get what is ya miaka yenu, unapambana na hali ya maisha.
Maisha mahali iko. Nick, any other challenge that you feel is unique in this day and age to fathers now?
I think it's the challenge of giving what you didn't get.
Yes.
You're caught between what your children and your wife expects and how you were brought up and by virtue of that who you are. I wanted to now I remember what I wanted to say.
Okay.
I wanted to say that your default in parenting is how you are brought up. That's what you know.
Okay.
And so you find you don't even think about it. You find that you have reacted the same way that you saw it being done.
Yeah.
And then that's when you start to realize I need to work on myself so that I need to respond as opposed to reacting. So I think one of the challenges, and I speak even for myself and for others that I've interacted with, is just that you're caught in between. I need to be this, but I'm not yet this.
Yeah.
I'm coming from this. And I'm here. I haven't even reached the middle, and yet time is not waiting for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see that. And in this next hour, then we'll focus on, what you said, what should dads do at what point, but also understand. So fine, our traumas. First of all, how do you deal with the traumas? Because you speak to so many people and they say, say for example, what you were talking about, you were craving that relationship with your dad when you were bearing him, because it wasn't there. Right?
No, it was. I wanted a better
relationship.
A more connected one. Yes.
More connected relationship. Yes. Others say, I never saw my dad. I would go for an entire year. I never saw my dad. Or, yes, my dad was there, but they never taught me how to be a man and how to be a father. Up until I'm a father is when I sort of, in hindsight, understand what, they went through. But I was never taught how to be a dad. So then what should fathers do? What is it that then we can learn from our fathers and then do better, in our parenting? And what is it that you fathers now hope your children could learn, from you? Because one day they will be fathers, right?
Yes.
But we'll tackle all that after the break. I know there's so much, but also go through your feedback on the question that we're asking you today. And that is, if you were a parent to your dad, how would you raise them, right? Or how different would you raise them? We'll go through your feedback, and that is on our socials at NTV Kenya, both on Facebook and on X, and tag me as well at Lubembe_Winnie. And don't forget our WhatsApp number, 0112-500-400 as well, and send in your feedback over there. I'll look at them on the other side of the break. Do stay with us. But if you have a question, also send them, because these two lovely gentlemen here wanna dunga points,
lovely.
Okay? And they will answer all your questions. And we'll also look at all your questions after the break. So do stay with us. We'll see you on the other side. Welcome back. Of course, the conversation continues even during the break. Wanapiga story. But it's Mindful Monday, and today we are addressing the men, fathers, our dads, all right? And it's all about fatherhood, and we're looking at the modern expectations versus traditional roles, and vice versa as well, all right? And the question that we're asking you today is pretty much simple. The question is, if you were a parent to your dad, how different would you parent them, okay? How different would you parent them? That is the question that we're asking you today. I'm actually sampling your feedback. But before I read through your feedback, we addressed the whole aspect about discipline and, what roles fathers play and how important fathers are and the challenges that modern fathers now in this case are actually going through. But can we address traumas and trauma in all its forms and how that influences the kind of parents that we are? And I'm going to ask you if you have a personal experience as far as trauma and how that sort of influenced the kind of dad that you are today. You want to go first, Percy?
Yeah, I like that you get to ask, but not to be asked.
But not to be asked. Yeah.
I went through any trauma.
Yeah, right? What's trauma? Don't relate.
I was raised.
I can't relate.
No, not me. Do I look like Nico na trauma?
No, not trauma.
Hey, I'm fine. But the truth is, I started telling you a story of trauma.
Yes, you did. You were chapward.
Like I was, to be very honest with you, trauma is a huge thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or what we call a wounded warrior, a wounded man.
Yeah.
We go through life and we're wounded. Even if you're not wounded at home, you're wounded at work.
That's cool.
Losing a job or being or being treated unjustly. Trauma comes through friends.
Yeah.
Dem alikuacha kwa lights.
Hey, let
You
me
know,
tell
like
you,
us, that
character
never happened to
development.
us.
Yeah.
Market. And to be honest, I think if you check carefully, umekuwa na trauma
Yes.
a lot in your
Yeah,
life. Like
yeah.
I've had so many of those. Every one example I've given you, I've gone through.
Yeah.
I've had a traumatic experience. There are people who get hurt in life, as in unaumia, umeanza kutembea na mikongojo.
Yeah.
That's a traumatic thing. And that person, you don't stop being a father, or it doesn't stop you from being a father. One of Nick Vujicic is this guy who has no
limbs.
no limbs.
Hands,
Yeah.
Yes.
Have you seen? He's
Yes.
married and he has fantastic
Yes.
children.
Family,
He's a
yes.
father.
Beautiful, beautiful family.
We will go through things as fathers. We will be traumatized by life. And we will be traumatized yesterday, today, and tomorrow.
Yeah.
Things will happen that will offend us, will hurt us, and all. That's why I said fatherhood is an intentional journey.
Yeah.
Part of that journey is to heal your wounds, is to find ways to deal with it. And let me tell you, one key area that I found is forgiving your father.
Yes.
Your mother, you can also have mother wounds. But forgiving your father is and that is hard work. Unasema huyo wacha hata alikufa, sawa alikufa.
Yeah.
But now the only problem with unforgiveness is you now cannot stop what happened in the past from happening in the future.
In the future. Okay.
Because that trauma becomes a window of hurt. You will have closed it if you forgive. But what was done to you by, let's say, your dad, you will do it to your children if you remain. Because that heart that is carrying the unforgiveness is the same heart that produces love and produces care.
Yeah.
But it is broken. So how can it produce something else?
Something else.
That's why forgiveness is a process of healing self as well.
Yeah.
And then now the heart that is now processing, H-E-A-R-T, is a good heart that can do the right thing with your child.
Yeah.
We've got to find models of healing our traumas. So first of all, obviously, you have to find out what were you traumatized by. You know, first time I learned about, and we were together, Nick, first time I learned about woundedness. I was like, nani yuko wounded?
Like, what are you talking about?
Wounded,
Yeah, like, do I look?
wounded ni nini hiyo? By the time I figured out that I've been wounded by things and I needed to heal them, I was already gone so far.
Yeah.
It affects your parenting, it affects your marriage, affects your ability to make money or to achieve your destiny in life. And that's why you've got to first of all find what wounded your life and what is wounding your life now
At the moment.
and then deal with it.
Yeah. You know, a lot of people actually struggle with forgiveness. And so there's two facets to forgiveness. One is the expectation that I'm your dad, you have to forgive me. Like hakuna tio ilikuwa ikaenda. You're the child, I'm the dad, you will have to forgive me. Okay? And then there's the other one where there's the dad seeking for forgiveness. Okay? So we all know the latter. Sometimes
doesn't happen.
You know, it doesn't happen.
Yes.
You know, like
Yes.
someone was actually saying, for us like African parents, the only way that we ask for forgiveness is by buying the child something. Story meisha. We won't even say, Ati, I am sorry because I did this or I did that. Ni nakubaya ile kitu nataka, and then story meisha. But people then grow with that and even get into relationships with that wound still, that one they did not forgive, or at no point was forgiveness asked. So then how do you navigate that? But even as prepared to answer that,
now, he can take it himself. He is well able.
On the traumas, you know, as well, and how that influences parenting. Yes.
I think the dilemma is that one, you know, you can't go to another place or to a garage or a hospital and take some time off and fix yourself.
Yes.
It's like the fighter jets that refuel in the air. You know, you have to work on you and work on your healing as you continue parenting. You know, that's the challenge of fatherhood and parenting in the sense that there's no pause. You know, you at a job unachukwanga leave. You know, or you take a break from a relationship and say time out.
You know, time out, time out.
But when parenting, you can't take time out, and so that's the challenge of healing yourself. And it's important. I find that yes, I thought that marriage was the hardest thing I had done in my life until I did fatherhood.
You became a father.
And committed myself to walking this journey of fatherhood. I realized this thing is stretching me in places. I mean, there are some two muscles that have been stretched you didn't know existed.
Okay.
But I think the thing is to realize that hurt people hurt others.
Hurt others, yes.
And if you don't heal, you perpetuate a cycle. And so even at Jasiri Dads, one of the things we tackle is you need to understand that there needs to be a break. You say you look at the generations past, your dad, your grandfather, and whatever, and you say these negative traits, they stop here. I'm not passing it on. I'm not perpetuating this. It stops with me. We are starting a new line
afresh.
So there's that importance of just making sure that you're working on you so that you can become a better father.
Yes. And also the whole aspect about forgiveness. But can I read a few comments and then we come to understand then the two facets, as far as forgiveness is concerned, on the question that we asked you, and that is, if you were a parent to your dad, how different would you raise them? Scholar Kiari says, I would try and be more present and listen more. And then another one says, this is Ada Bint Root, who says, parents do their best, but kids choose a path. Just pray for your kids, all right? And then Felix, lakini ameandika Fe and Leaks, says, I would never reach their dedication. My parents are God sent. Oh, okay. Boy Child Geshaga says, ruthless beating routine. This is a routine just like so many other people who are tandikwad properly, okay? And then someone says, single mothers excluded. No, absolutely not. We're not excluding single mothers. Donald Chiokoji says, where? Nafaa kumtag nikisema. Mtag. And then another one says, I wish to do so, but, and then I make a ... This is young Gitchmain. And then Delany Leana Lantana says, how different would I raise him when he failed? I'd do worse better than he did. Wow. Okay. Here this is Kasos Nembris says he won't believe mtapiga huyo jamaa vibaya sana. Kwani most people watandikwa properly.
And they are wounded. People are wounded by many things.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're not even by being beaten. It's by an absent father. You wanted a connection. So huyu mtu ndio tumweke laini. Anafaa tuangwe. There are signs that we were wounded.
Another one, man, let me tell you. Another one says, this is King Ifrika, who says, I would have raised him the same way he did to me. And then says, hashtag RIP dad. Oh, may he rest in eternal peace. And then Digona Kokola says, different from the way they raised me, but haven't said how. Silas Alubaka says, they would not believe. They won't believe. Okay, and keep sending them on our socials, and that is at NTV Kenya, both on Facebook and on X. I can see, and so many comments are coming through on this other side. Let me look at this other side as well and see what you guys have to say on the very simple question. But in the meantime, can we address the whole forgiveness thingy passy? Bob Eagle says, only father we have is our Father who art in heaven. But keep sending in your views. We'll go through them as we continue with the conversation. But yes, forgiveness. So there's the asking part and versus set a demand expected. That since I'm your dad, I expect you to forgive me. Or they don't even see that they wounded you.
Yes.
See, when mtoto. Yeah, so you have no right to say I hurt you as a dad. So can we look at those two facets and then we'll look at the how, Nick?
First of all, forgiveness. Why?
A lot of people ask that question.
Why should I forgive?
Yes.
Or who am I forgiving for? When you answer that question, when you realize what it does, like he said, hurt people,
hurt others.
People.
Yeah.
So what kind of father do I want to be? That is what makes me go back and deal with forgiveness.
Okay.
Not because you asked, not because you demanded. It is irrelevant what the other person needs or wants.
Okay.
Because siwezi kukukunywea poison.
Yes.
So I won't forgive, yes. So it's my heart that is changing.
Yeah.
So I am drinking poison expecting you
to die.
To die.
No.
It doesn't happen that nimekushika kwa roho. Huyu ataniona.
Yeah.
You forgive for you.
For you.
So that you can be the father you want to be. If you're fortunate for somebody to ask you for forgiveness, that helps your heart.
That does, yes.
If you're fortunate somebody gave you a sweetie expecting forgiveness, that is. But regardless, what if he's dead?
Yeah.
But you can still forgive him because it is forgiveness is the process of removing the offense that was put inside you.
Yeah.
You may not have wanted it, but it came. So lazima uitoe. And so some people, the problem is sometimes you don't even know how to forgive.
How to forgive, yeah.
And that's why I like to say, see a counselor. Well, you don't have to tell everybody.
Yes.
So that, the first time I told a friend of mine I'm going to see a counselor, he told me, hey, Frank, mambo ni mbaya.
Yes. We actually,
things are thick. They are thick.
Yeah.
But you don't have to see, but see somebody, see a pastor. Go see somebody, see a mentor, and ask them, how do you do this thing if you don't know how to do it? YouTube, honestly, has a lot of info. And I like to say, if you type 70 times 7 forgiveness on YouTube, there's a whole stuff you can learn there. There's some very good things you can learn there. If you follow me, I talk about it a lot. So forgiveness for me, I think is a big one. Find a way to help yourself.
Okay.
I say this thing for dad is intentional.
You have to be intentional about it, yes.
We've been giving you some notes here about all types of fathers, and that's a book that's been written by Simon Bevy. Find it online. He does a program called Shujaa Dad. He does a program called Jasiri. Find it. Go to a place you can be empowered in this area.
I see that.
Just to add on about forgiveness.
On the how, yes.
Forgiveness, it's you who's in the prison. You're in a prison. You're caged. It's affecting the unforgiveness, the bitterness is the one is caging you in. You can't enjoy relationships. You can't pursue the things that you love because of this bitterness that you have. So just adding on to what Frank was saying, it's about you. It's about releasing you. It's about empowering yourself to go out there and do what you have to do and enjoy life without being imprisoned by the unforgiveness in your heart.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Remember we talked about vulnerability. And we talked about masculinity and versus vulnerability and masculinity. And a lot of people you said you're not supposed to do that. Yes, there's that aspect of be a man. Don't be afraid to also be vulnerable. At the same time, my ear. Okay, right? So then that aspect about vulnerability now in fatherhood, right? Because you said earlier on, there's some people who, after you ask them, have you ever seen your dad cry? They'll tell you absolutely not, So being strong for the family and carrying that strength, but also not showing vulnerability, right? How is that impacting families and dads and children, even now? The fact that we see some dads not being vulnerable, and try to hide their emotions just because they're being strong and being dads, you know?
Yeah.
I think strength is not keeping it in. Strength is acknowledging that there's a challenge,
All right.
and there's a threat out here, and then going after it and addressing it in ways that are healthy.
Okay.
Yeah, for everyone. Yeah. And so talking about vulnerability, it's clear even to your children or to your family that you're going through stuff.
Yes.
So why and really they're the people who love you the most. So they feel insulted that you can't even share with them. I mean, you know, I've been sat down by, I have some Gen Zs in the house.
Okay.
I have been sat down and they know, you know, things are not well, but you know, it's Dad, we want to know what's going on. What's going on in your life?
Because they can see.
They can see.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so there's that aspect of, hey, I need to be vulnerable here. It doesn't mean that I'm weak. It just means that I am strong enough to share with the people that matter in my life what's going on in my life. And fatherhood is support. Fatherhood is support. You're supporting your children, but guess what? Even you need support.
You need support. Even the strong ones.
You need to be vulnerable enough to realize that you need support. And I know this might resonate with some people. Even in old age, there are some fathers who are not accepting help. He needs medical help, but he won't agree to be taken.
They have to literally be dragged.
Yes. There was a guy who was even refusing to be injected. What are these? Intravenous, whatever.
Yeah.
Because, you know, he doesn't want to have that image of he's all strapped up and, you know, he doesn't want his family to see him that way.
Yeah.
But I think we have taken this thing of strength a little bit too far. Yeah, where it's not even making sense.
I see that. I see that. And even Percy mentioned sometimes seek help, right? Because, you know, walking around with wounds and traumas and all those things, and now you get into a relationship and then you become a dad, you also transfer those traumas, sometimes subconsciously, to your children. So seek help. Now, Percy, I am very sure if you ask so many men out here, have you had those moments where you actually went to someone and talked to them? Remember, even we asked the young men that we work with on set, and they said, maybe I trust myself.
Yes.
you know? So the how then do they do it? I know you've talked about if you can't see a therapist, see a Percy, go talk to a mentor. But the biggest question is then how do they do it? Like, remove all this mask that I'm a strong person, I got this, I will do it. But get to that point of vulnerability and actually say, hey, I need help.
Yeah.
How do they get to that level?
Intentionality. Remember we said you've got to create safe havens.
Yes.
You've got to create a place, a friendship that grows.
Yeah.
Anywhere. If there's none of these places we say we go where a man will share before they can tell my staff is not going to go out, and the person I'm talking to is competent to hear me and to help me. So you've got to create those safe havens. And I like to say within men relationships, hata kama mnapewa kitu, ongea na watu mnaweza ongeleshana. You kunywa your thing nice, but talk to some people. Wacha ikutoke kwanza. It's an important thing for it to come out, because now you can go home and be strong.
Yes.
Because the other side is, like he's saying, there's this man who's really too strong, and then they're breaking. But there's this other one who is a crybaby. We also don't want a crybaby.
No,
Isn't that what we say? Nilipigwa na boss coffee. We also don't. We are also the Arsenal. Wacha tusiseme hiyo. People will know where I support. Wataanza kuniongelesha coach. Sisi tulishinda jana. Just to say. Anyway, we also want to bring strength to the family. Let's deal, let's be open, but also let's give vision. let's give direction. Those are the callings of a father. If you check that word, Abba, that word is a very strong word. It's a word for source. Source for what? Source for strength.
Source of life.
Source of life. We are supposed to be able, source of life, we like that story. But the other one is where we should talk about source of money.
Yes.
So these are things. So source of direction in life. We are, it is our responsibility to bring that home. That's why I have to deal with my issues. Come to a deal na my issues. Isaac was source.
All those things. I hear that.
So we
actually, you'll be the source of.
Now it becomes the source of this. And that's actually what we've realized. When we heal a man, we heal a community.
I see that. And I like that. And let's ponder on that for a sec. Would you on a break? Because I want to ask a question. I do not want to rush you guys. And that is, now that there were those traditional expectations, and now versus what we're seeing now, where, remember, like we said, there are some fathers who say, I'll be a stay-home dad, I will take care of my kids while my wife or the mother of my kids, goes to work. And there's a whole lot of conversation around that. I'm also curious to hear your view on the same. But, let's take a break as I go through some of your feedback. And then we'll also address, what you said. And that is, what should fathers do at what point? Okay. And for someone who say, you know what, I actually messed up at some point in my parenting journey. And in this case, as a dad, how then do they find their way back? Because there's the whole lot of relationship and trust, and once that's broken, it's difficult to mend. It's not impossible, but so then how do they find their way back and at least be there for the family and be the dad or be the father that the family wants to see? We'll also tackle that after the break. But just to go through some of what you guys have to say. Where Raphael amesema hapa, nowadays we have no men. Others behave like women and they want to be treated with the women compared na wanaume wa kitambo who are more responsible. Okay. Another one says modern expectation. That's the problem in itself. Expectations, the modern world. That is the expectation. And then Aunt Steve says, nowadays, men are adopting a culture which they were not brought up with. They pretend not to hurt the woman, but by what they do, having girlfriends who are so close to their wife, not supporting the wife well. The wife can be sick, but the man doesn't take her to hospital, rather gives her the money. Gives the money to the girlfriend. The behavior of men is creating a very big problem, and that is why there is a lot of single parenting nowadays. Okay. So keep sending in your views and your feedback on our socials, and that is at NTV Kenya, both on Facebook and on X. We'll read more of them on the other side of the break, so do stay with us. We'll see you very shortly. All right, welcome back. We are in the last few minutes of the show, and that is Your World. And the conversation today is on fatherhood, and we're looking at, the traditional roles versus modern expectations as far as fatherhood is concerned. I can see Edwin Odoyo on X says, hi, Lubembe _Winnie. Says, hi, Winnie. I am following the conversation. I like the way the guests are articulating the fatherhood issues. Also address how this should be done in a situation where one is both the father and the mother. I initially was the bad cop. Now that the good cop is no more. How now? Wow. Okay. You want to take that, Percy?
First of all, I just appreciate that's a man who is accepting the situation. And congratulations that you realize, nimebakia, niko solo.
Yes.
One of the greatest gifts I think I can give my children is to be a good husband to my wife, to their mother.
Okay.
But the next best thing is sometimes that's not possible. Then I become the best father I can never be. We don't have to lose both battles. One did go right, and now we also lose the second one. No. But the core of it is the same. Intentionality.
Yeah.
Heal yourself, grow yourself, involve yourself.
All right.
The biggest word there is involvement.
Yeah.
Get involved with your child's let the teachers know you want to know what's going on to the child.
Yeah.
The teachers of the kids in school. Get involved with Sunday school. We want more men in Sunday school and in churches where we have Sunday school men teaching. It just erupts. The children love it. Get involved with their friends. Who are their friends? What are they doing? Get involved.
Yeah.
That part of being intentional about it to help yourself, to grow yourself, put the right men around you, and then engage.
I see that. Nikki, look like you have, you're pondering, eh?
No, I'm just thinking about those fathers that I know that are walking
the journey alone.
Walking the journey alone. And, my heart goes off. I lift my heart to them.
Yeah.
Because this journey, you realize that even for single mothers, it's not necessarily easy. So it helps to have a team, another team member that you're doing this together with. But life is life. Life has no guarantees. So you may find yourself on, being given maybe the shorter stick in life. But again, Jasiri means courageous in Swahili. It's about being courageous about the situations that you find yourself in and exerting yourself with courage. Yeah, it's not necessarily going to be easy, but I think fatherhood can also be rich. It can also be full of fun and laughter, and it can be the most impactful or fulfilling thing that you would do in your life. So I would say take it on with gusto, and take it on with all you have. Give it your very best. And one thing I would say to all of us. Excellence does not mean perfection. Yeah. Good. Just going about doing something with a spirit of excellence doesn't mean that you'll be perfect all the time. So don't expect yourself to be perfect, but you can be excellent.
You can be excellent.
Yes.
I like that. Now, let's address the how. Because we've talked about vulnerabilities. We've talked about how what was expected traditionally is not what is now. And the symbol, when you thought about dad or father then, that is different now, right? Because we see a lot of people say, yeah, me and my dad were best friends, right? Versus, hey, kitambo kidogo, well, ukifikiria dad, you don't even want to think about it because there was that fear, borderline, respect, borderline fear. So we've addressed all those things. And maybe there's a person who's watching us and understanding. So then how do I do this parenting thing? How do I do this father thing? Okay, because like we said, okay, you guys are saying kuna manual, there is. But there's so many people who say parenting has no manual,
In truth, that's why intentionality is big. Lazima utoke utafute.
Okay.
The good
Seek
thing
wisdom. Seek wisdom and understanding.
Kuna watu wameandika some books, wamepitia vitu, na kusaba wako na manual, wako na hiyo gift.
Yeah.
And I give you an example of this book called Intentional Dad by Simon Bevy. That is a book that really helped me. I went for parenting classes. And find a church which has parenting classes. There are several. Yeah. Even if it's not, or a mosque, or depending on what works for you.
Yeah.
Go look for it. You will find it. There are online courses that are available. So my thing is, jaribu ujitume kidogo.
Okay.
Ujitokeleze. Ndio uone. Every stage, I don't know if this is okay if I go into it now.
Yes. Yeah.
Allow me to just read. Every stage of a child requires different approach to it.
All right.
And I'm going to give you just a few. Let me see if I can get a few out there. When a child is at the real beginning, this is 0 to 2, they're looking for a natural caregiver. That's what I expect to kuchapa mtoto at that age. No, they're just sweetie,
buju,
and learn the language. Speak that language.
Yeah.
As it for me, I used to enjoy to pray for my kids when they were still in the tummy.
Oh, nice.
And I used to introduce myself. So when they say they have a head start, hata mimi najaribu kujiingiza hapo ndani. So what can you do at that stage?
All right.
Toddler 2 to 4, that's a teacher and the guide. And now you have to start introducing kiboko.
Yes.
In a say tuchukue sasa njora ama rungu. But you begin, but they're also wanting to see. So if you're going to do something, you begin to early childhood, 4 to 7. This is a proper age for learning to use a rod.
Okay.
You may get to buji, and then you spoil your child completely.
Completely, yeah.
This is where you go to shopping and there are rules. If you do this, this is what will happen. And you follow through. If you do this, this will happen. But the idea here is a trainer and an encourager. You can do this.
Yeah.
Let's try this.
Yeah.
I also like to say, don't raise a boy like a girl or a girl a boy. Let them begin to learn what is different about being a boy, what is being... And there are people who say, let the girl be a tomboy as well. Me, I don't want to. Well, if you want, that's fine. But make a decision and go ahead and train. At the middle age, 7 to 12 years, this is where you begin to enter, where you're showing an example. Bado kiboko iko, lakini sasa you're beginning to say, I trust you, you're responsible. I think, for me, friendship is oversold. Oh, I want to be best friends with my children. Yeah. In the meantime, they are the most misbehaved. Unajua watoto wanaweza kuingiza box.
Yes.
Akikuwa na oh, hi dad, come mimi, oh, praise God dad, today I was praying. Anakujua sasa amekukulia mbaya. Hakuna kitu kama hiyo. Friendship is oversold. Sengine lazima utoe macho. Yeah. Utoe kiboko. Unajua watoto wakiambiwa, I'll tell your father. Unajua hiyo partner sitaki. There's that part. There's a place where the rod and the skin must meet. Now, we're not the rod and the skin, not the head being taken off. When you are very angry, you walk away. Yes. You go back and say, nimekasirika, nitakuua. So unaenda huko, unapiga raundi, unarudi. Sasa discipline is part of the journey. Lazima tucheze hiyo game. Now you're beginning to enter a role model. Okay. If you want them to put their shoes in the right place, put your shoes in the right place.
Yes.
If you want the clothes to be folded, fold your clothes. Yes. You know, now you begin to role model. That's why it's a tough job being a father. You want them to come home early, you also begin to show. Now you enter teenagehood. This is where you begin to be more a consultant. Now this is friendship. Friendship, now you have umesha build. Okay. But this is where you take out, you talk, bring issues on the table, argue, connect. Na bado kuna ukali awe, soma.
Baba na baki baba.
But now maybe the cane needs to be drawn out. If you used it, then they know you have guidelines. Okay. You're going to stop. When they enter young adult, now you're a mentor and a friend.
I see that.
Now they talk to you because they want to. Wanaweza jipatia shughuli na wache kukuongelesha.
And you won't even hear from them anymore.
Yeah, you're not going to. So you want them, somebody is in campus, you want to talk to them, guide them. So the more mentor and friendship. And that's one of the reasons we, like with Nick, we do things together. So that they know, ata Buddha kazi niongelesha, wacha niongee na Buddha mwingine hapo. That's why you try and want to
give them access to your friends.
Yeah. I see that. Now, so then understanding those roles and how important they are, I want to bring in another aspect, and that is on social media. Would you say social media has sort of like influenced fatherhood now? Yes.
Ooh. No, I think it's adding to the confusion.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think there's just a confusion, a concoction of confusion outside there.
Okay.
And the sad part is that men are getting, I think, the short end of the stick, because anytime you're looking for anybody to bash, the guy is the easy target. And so I think out there are just so many voices, and I think men need to start filtering and deciding for themselves what's the truth here, what's the right voice that I need to be listening to here. And I would dare say that parenting is not man's idea. Fatherhood is not man's idea. It's God's idea. So get to know what God says about this. Understand what is in his heart about fatherhood, and you'll not be wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just the other day, I came across a video of a guy who has opted to actually stay home and take care of the kids, and the wife goes to work. And when you go through the comments, people can be harsh, you know, sometimes, because they're like, but you're the man, you're supposed to provide. What are you doing at home? Your wife will not disrespect you, atakukalia. And, you know, like there's a whole lot of negative comments to the fact that this guy has decided to share his life on the fact that he is a stay-home dad. And we're seeing a lot of that now, where, you know, most men are saying, you know what, yes, I'll stay at home and I'll take care of the kids as you go to work. And there's some people that dynamic actually works, and it totally works for them. But us looking from the outside, you know, looking in, you know, we don't care. So we're too quick to judge. So if someone is in, say, such a situation, or something that is not quote unquote conventional, you know, or as expected or as traditional, so then how do we morph around to say, hey, listen, it's okay. It's okay.
One of the things I like is know the rules so well to know how to break them.
I like that. Okay.
So understand what is the concept here is leadership in the family.
Yeah.
To be a leader, you don't have to be the one earning the money.
You don't have to be the best person in the team.
Yes, you don't have
It's
to.
a vision.
Yeah.
It's providing direction. I can provide direction without bringing the money. I can provide direction. I can provide the kind of discipline, the kind of leadership needed. So if you get the right things right, and that's why this masculinity thing is critical. When you get it right, and again, we've got to restore our identity. What gives me identity? Ni watu vile wamesema, ama ni vile mimi najua the right thing kufanya.
Okay.
Especially what does God say about me? What does He want me to do? When you connect yourself right, it doesn't really matter what people are saying and what. And that allows you to come out of the convention, the conventional way. Sometimes I've seen mtoto amefanya kitu mbaya kwa neighborhood and all the parents want to chapa and then you go listen, you realize, no, this child didn't do that. So mimi sichapi mtoto wangu. I'm not doing parenting to impress you. I am doing parenting to raise a child correct. I'm not doing something to impress the village. I'm trying to do what's right. That's why knowing your identity, who am I?
Yeah.
What am I here to do in this life? What is my purpose? Allows you to make right decisions by your family. One day my kid did something so crazy.
Okay.
They were very young. And they said something that made me, that shook me. They were very young. And little boy used to eat soap.
Huh. Okay.
Alikuwa anapenda sabuni sana.
Something about soaps like kids. Yeah.
Sister yake alikuwa anambia wacha. And then there was an engineer working in our house who wanted to beat the boy for doing that. And the sister said, "Umbwa wewe." Can you imagine? She has never said it before. She has never said it after. This just came out. So I sat and listened. I said, how? First she's shaking.
Where did you get that?
Where did you even hear it?
That? Yeah.
And they're homeschooled. So where did you hear it? Then I realized it was something she had, and she was defending her brother.
Yes.
Then mimi nichukue kiboko. What am I saying? What am I saying?
Yeah.
Never defend your brother. We had a chat. I said, you crossed the line.
Yes.
But I feel in my heart that you are not doing
intention
it
was
to
good,
this.
but
I
the
think
how,
what you are doing is you are defending your brother. If I ever hear. Now we know, because you can't